So we're at it. Welcome everybody. We are not all there yet, so we'll just give it a minute, maybe 1.5, to give everybody a chance to join. Number is slowly counting. So I see names on the list from far, far away from Copenhagen. It's very nice of you to join us. That should be the whole idea with doing this as a digital webinar, right? So good to see you guys. I think we'll jump out into it. Are we ready? Brian, are we ready? I guess we're ready. Brian, can you hear me?
Thomas, I think Brian's user has gone down because I don't see him on the register. So he will be probably coming in shortly again.
I can talk like Brian.
I
just can't look like him. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on then. Here we are, Brian to the right. He looks a little different also. But he'll be back in a moment. My name is Thomas Grønlund. Welcome to this webinar. Brian and I are supported today with some SMEs from the world who knows much more about stuff than we do. They have been members of the working groups to develop and review all the standards. And yeah, Niclas and Ian, could you just say, Niclas, Ian, a few just short words about yourself? Say hi.
Yes, so I'm Niclas Persson. I'm working for Vestas as a lead safety instructor. I'm Swedish, but I work in Denmark. So we have a GWO training center where we do the BSTR training. We also do the art and the enhanced first aid. We're also doing a lot of on-site rescue trainings at our site, and we only do internal Vestas technicians, so we're not a very profitable training provider. We also do a lot of rescue tests, evacuation tests in our new turbines to make sure that we have the right equipment and that the methods are working. So yeah, that's a little bit from my side. Thanks.
Cool, thank you. And Ian, a word?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ian Rook. I'm Head of Operations and Emergency Response at HOTA in Hull. We hosted a couple of the pilots during these various standard development projects. I'm a safety professional, medic, emergency planner, and IQT instructor for my sins, and I actually was a member of all of the working groups last year.
Thank you very much. And Brian, if you take the last one, then I'll just first jump to the next slide to say welcome to Szymon and Alexandra as well. Szymon, a short introduction, please.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Szymon Giemza from Poland. I work as a lead safety instructor for European Wind Academy. I teach mainly subjects connected to climbing and rescuing, so working at heights, advanced rescue, confined space. 16 years of experience as an instructor, working in the past for companies like Siemens, Maersk Training in United Kingdom and Denmark. That's me pretty much.
Very nice. Thank you, Szymon. And Alexandra, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Alexandra Meyer. I'm right now a senior instructor at RelyOn UTech, where we do teach all the basic safety trainings, the advanced trainings, everything, GWO, OPTO, STCW, and several other custom-made trainings as well. Personally, my area of expertise is emergency services for anybody and everybody who is somehow injured or ill or whatnot. And by training, I'm an RN, and I very early on specialized in all the emergency and critical care patient techniques. And I have been working all over the world. And back here in Germany, I started to become more and more interested in teaching, and here I am, member of the working group, and senior instructor at RelyOn UTech right now.
And thank you for being a member of the working group. So we have these SMEs to support us in answering questions, and I look very much forward to that. Thank you guys for joining us. And Brian, just a word from you now that you're back.
Yeah, I had some technical issues. Sorry about that. I'm Brian Davidsen. I'm from Denmark, GWO, a training project manager. My background is medicine, MD. Been working in fire and rescue for many years as well. And now I'm particular for this webinar. I've been working on walk to work and advanced rescue training.
Thank you. So the agenda for the next short hour is that we will go through the changes and the reason behind the changes of the BST standard modules working at height, and then we added some walk to work topics to the sea survival. We have changed the design of the BST refresher standard, which is now a section in the BST. And then we have made changes, reviewed the advanced rescue training. As you can see, I just know that the presentation will be recorded, so you can revisit and write down all the questions you didn't get answers to, and then you can reach out to us if you like, and we will try to respond. Also, maybe if you will just place your questions in the Q&A, there's a button called Q&A somewhere. Is that correct? Can everyone see it? Can anyone see the Q&A button?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So it's there. So please put your questions there, and then we will, every time we take a deep breath, we will just answer some questions, or after each of the topics, we will answer questions. And those questions that we cannot answer or don't get to answer today, we will answer them in writing when we share the presentation later this week to everybody. Okie dokie. Here we go. Working at height, Brian?
Yes, let's go into working heights. So fortunate I got Niclas, Szymon, and Alexandra with us as experts here. First of all, whenever we're working on standards, we always invite GWO members and training providers in order to make sure that we hit the best practice and the best approach for all the changes, and make sure that someone actually knows that this works in the real life in the industry. Some of the big changes that gone into working heights was the amendment to ladder use and reinforced ladder rungs. Otherwise, terminology has been completely aligned with the advanced rescue training in terms of also about references to the fall arrest lanyards and the working position lanyards. And there's been updates to the evacuation and the rescue exercises. All these changes, you can just move forward, Thomas. I'm just going to talk a bit more. All of these changes, of course, there's a reason. I'm not going to read the entire slides, but all these amendment has been made for a reason. And as I said, it needs to reflect on the best practice for the industry and for the future use. Last Friday for the other webinar, we had Niclas telling us about some of the huge new wind turbines. I can't remember the height, but I think if Niclas, if you wanted to share a few more words to that, like you did on Friday, I think that would be beneficial for all, because that's the future for wind turbines, I think, or the direction we go.
Yeah. So especially for the advanced rescue training, of course, but also for the working at height. Before, I was also in the first pilot for the art when that came in, and the issue was that you had very confined spaces, you had small hatches, you had hot corners to go around. Now with the big turbines, you have other issues that you might face, and that is just that it's so big. You know, you have like 5-6 meters up to the roof, and it's hard to find anchor points. It's very long distances. You need to move people in the free air, more or less. So I think it's also the complexity with the heights. Usually, I mean, back in the days where you had smaller turbines, all of a sudden now we have very high turbines that create issues on the way, different problems, different risks. So it's, I would say there's a new challenge, and also just by working in the nacelle, you actually have risk of falling due to the height. So if you need to change the smoke alarm, or you need to do some work on the cable tray, for example, you could be on a ladder or on a platform like 5-6 meter up, and there is a big drop of you falling, and that's something that is not really included in the GWO standards. So that will probably be a challenge to implement that for the next standards, I think.
Yeah. I think, Niclas, you told us that some of the new Vestas turbines were 165 meters, so something like that, right?
Yeah, the hub height can be somewhere around, depending on if it's where it is, how big of a TP platform you will have, but you have a hub height. So the ladder inside our 236, the new turbine, could be like 155 meter high, with a lot of hatches in between and platforms where you need to go down.
Friday we also talked about another new challenge that you experienced in real life with a drop on the static rope.
Yeah, and that's something that you don't get the experience if you haven't done it in this high turbines. I mean, in a training center, you don't get that, and that is the dynamic, the evaluation in the rope. So you have approximately 5%, depending on which rescue device you have, but more or less 5% dynamic. So that means when you're going down in the tower, if you're at 100 meter and you stop at the hatch, you will go up 5 meters due to the dynamic. And the same when you open the hatch and you take a step out, you will also have like no support straight on. So that's definitely creating new issues and new problems with the heights that you haven't seen that much on before. So you can just imagine when you have the last platform down, you might have 7-8 meters dynamic in the rope and all the bouncing going up and down. And we will probably come into it with a different method of doing evacuation or rescues: passive, active, body mounted, top mounted, where you can have, so if you make a stop on the rescue device, you will have a bouncing of the casualty, up and down. So that's something that we try to implement into the exercises in this new standard.
Yeah, thanks for that. And yeah, I think that's something that probably is overlooked, but will become future challenges for all of us in the industry. So beside that, a lot of things has gone into the working in heights in regards to fall protection devices and new procedures, new exercises. I don't know. I just want to invite Szymon or Alexandra if you have anything to add to the changes. You're more than welcome to. Otherwise, most has been make sure to align with the industry and for new procedures and best practices, and also to align with the advanced rescue training. Oh, Thomas, just go ahead.
Okay, we jump into the next chapter. Thank you for the first one. So about the design of the BST refresher modules, we used to have 2 totally refresher modules and 3 that were just the same as the initial ones. We have now changed it so that all 5 refresher modules are designed in the same way, and that they can be done only with refresher participants, not initial participants. I will say a little more about that in a moment. The first picture here is I'm trying to illustrate that we have merged the refresher standard and the initial standard together into one basic safety training standard with for each module there will be an initial section and there will be a refresher section. That way, well, on the business side, you can say then you only need one audit to audit the standard, and you get both the refresher and the initial audited. But also for using the standard, we hope that it will be easier to overview what is actually in each of the sections, in the initial and in the refresher. The learning objectives are the same. but the activities are different. I will get into that in a moment. We have removed the working at height and manual handling combined. And then some train providers will probably say, some of you will say, oh, but that was so nice, we could do it all in one day. But when you looked at the learning objectives from the manual handling and the working at height standards, it didn't make sense to try to do them both together in one day. And with the increasing number of incidents because of poor manual handling, we cannot really defend the idea of making bad manual handling training. Many of you will say we make very good manual handling training, but incident shows that we can do better. So we have taken out this one, and instead, so you can say you can do the manual handling plus the working at height, both in the refresher and in the initial training. Yeah, this is what I've just said, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Thomas, I'm just asking. I think isn't it like manual handling is on the top of the incident rate at the moment, or still?
That is actually what we just heard the other week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It has been in top 5 or top 3 for a couple of years, but now it has moved even further up.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably also a very good reason to actually remove the combined and make sure that the manual handling is actually done in a manual handling module.
Yeah. I don't know, Ian and Alexandra, if you have any comments to this, because that wasn't really a part of the project. This was a GWO decision, I think.
I mean, we did discuss it within the working at height working group, and I think there was almost universal acceptance both from training providers and members that we had to give more focus on manual handling, because shortcutting what was the nearly 4-hour module was just not justified when the incident rates are so high. And the figures were reviewed at the G Plus Summit in London last week, and manual handling is right up there at number 1. So.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ian. And also, so I'm asking this rhetoric question on the slide. Can you then not deliver the 2 modules together? Oh, yes, you can. You just have to reach all the learning objectives. And actually, it would make good sense to focus on manual handling in all standards or in all modules, in any training, that you warm up before physical activities, that you, when you carry a heavy fire extinguisher, think about, is it too heavy? Should I carry it in another way? Should I find a wagon? Make sure that every time you do anything, climbing, whatever, put in some manual handling focus as well. That is very much allowed, and we need it because, as Ian said, it's now manual handling number 1 of the incidents. Yeah. What else have we done? The new design. We were told that, among others, we got feedback that many experienced participants on refresher trainings said that it's boring. We are not respected for our experience. They don't use our experience. We're doing the same thing year after year after year. It must be able to be to do this in another way. So we had a work group together for 4 days in Bremerhaven, and we sat down and designed a lot of learning scenarios, training scenarios, with very close to industry situations to challenge the refresher participants. But we also discussed that, maybe Ian, Alexander, would you say why we did this, design the skill stations?
Well, we wanted to ensure that participants can show us what they still know. So, and just asking them is not really we found is not really a good way to figure out where they stand and what their skills really are. So we wanted them to practically show us and demonstrate where they are, what they really know, and what they remember from other trainings. So that's why we came up with skill stations.
And Ian, you're warming up to support, I can see.
No, and I think the key thing to stress is the way that we do it. The whole design concept was that it was very much participant-led. As Alexandra said, they are showing us what we can do. We're hoping that the little cohorts of learners will self-correct each other. So if one is not doing something correctly, and that the intervention from the instructor is absolutely minimal, even when it comes to the vital learning through the feedback process, that that itself is participant led, with the instructors just intervening and giving final feedback, so it's a better learning experience. And I think the other key thing for skill stations, it was also an assessment opportunity, because we may not see everyone do everything in the actual scenario-based training, but the skill stations were an opportunity to make sure that everyone can do sort of core things like CPR, use a rescue device in active mode, or whatever the training module is.
Yeah, and that's a good point about the instructor. I also have this on the last line, because we have put in the guidance for the instructors, because the instructor's role will be different on the refresher trainings than on the initial trainings. The instructor should, exactly as you say, step back, let the participants show what do you know, what can you do, and just to make sure that they are on the level so they can do the training scenarios safely afterwards. And this is a challenge for many instructors. And maybe you guys have tried it on yourselves, or maybe you've seen others struggle with it. But to be quiet, step backwards, see what is actually happening, and only intervene if something is looking unsafe. But it is when they do it on their own that they actually learn. So that's the whole idea. So this is the new design, and all 5 modules are with these 4 lessons, skill stations and training scenarios being the core of the refresher. Yeah, there was actually 2 participants on the Gdansk pilot that said, "We have never learned so much on a pilot before." And I mean, what more can you wish for? And here's just to illustrate what skill stations could look like on the first aid refresher module. Have all the people working on the same thing, and making sure they're doing it the correct way, and then intervene if they need some assistance, or when they have them help each other, as Ian also said. And again, scenarios, not the most amazing pictures from a scenario, but you can add some smoke to a first aid scenario, or whatever escalating factors, as we call them. I saw Michael Schröder from the US is on the list also. I think it was your word, escalating factors, Michael. Thank you for that. But you can add that if you have a crowd of experienced instructor participants that you can see, oh, these guys, they really know what this is about. Then put on some wind or some smoke or some waves in the pool or whatever you can to make it more realistic. Yeah, that's the whole idea. Other notes on the refresher sections. Yeah, I think I have probably said it all. Learning of exercise. Yeah, also that it was so nice that we had so many. We have released how many standards this time? 8 standards or so.
Yeah.
We have 8 standards open, and we have actually been able to align all the adherents in all standards. We have aligned those together, so they should all be updated on the same topics. Yeah. A little bit about timing. This is what it was in the version 19. And on the right side of that, you can see the new version 20 timings. The refreshers are a bit shorter, most of them. So it should be, Ian, you had a point about this, maybe being able to run 2 refresher courses in 1 week. Did you say something about that? Or was it my dream?
I think that was when we were originally discussing timings. We did wonder whether manual handling and fire could be reduced even more. And I mean, I think the next year is going to be a trial period in a way. So we're going to test it and see what works and what doesn't work. I think with the way the timings have ended up, it depends on the dynamics of individual training centres, what you've got in terms of facilities and instructors, as to whether you can run 2 refreshers back to back and overlap. I mean, obviously, even though technically you can combine modules and learning outcomes in the BST to cover everything, if you've got one group of learners for the whole week, as it's very clear in the red bit, you can't do working manual handling within 1 training day, because the times now extend beyond that. So,
And these longer or the extension of timings, it already started last year when we added the dropped objects and what was it to hand-tool awareness sections to many of the standards. They already got an hour or so longer, or some of them did. Yeah, so this is where we are now. And I was just going to say one very intelligent thing, but I forgot it, so I'll just move on. In sea survival, we used to have instructor will demonstrate the entry into water from maximum 1 meter. We have now redone the old activity that participants actually enter the water, but not from 4 meters as we did before, but for 1.5 meter maximum. And this is the learning objective is the same, but now by trying it, it'll probably get a deeper learning. And still, we only want them to be able to explain it. But we think that, no, we know that the learning will be deeper if they actually try to jump into the water and hold tight to whatever they have to hold tight to when they jump into it, instead of just seeing it. And the same goes with riding a life raft, that they actually ride in a life raft. These 2 exercises have been out for a couple of years, but they weren't there before, and now they're back. Also to challenge the refresher participants. Oh yeah, and there was a question also about, can refresher participants join an initial training? Oh yes, of course. If there are no refresher trainings in the area and there is an initial one, then they can join that, and then they'll get a training record for that. It's just initials cannot join the refreshers because the refresher activities are more advanced and we don't take the basic stuff on the refreshers. I think that, Yeah, and yeah, just to say we have added, because when we served these 2 activities to the training committee, they said, why don't you add it into both the initial and the refresher modules? And we say, yeah, of course. So they're also in the initial training, the riding life raft and the jumping in, entering the water. If your instructors are confused and don't really know what to do with these training scenarios, what to do with themselves, there will be guidance in the Annex 4 of the BST training standard. Yeah, I think I have covered all. Should we take a few questions now, Brian, or should we jump further to the walk to work?
Yeah, we can address a few questions. The walk to work is going to be very short. It's just a small addition I want to mention a few words about, so we can invite some questions.
And I don't have the overview, but you have.
I do, and there's no question at the moment.
Okay. Then we will jump into the water. I all said, let's jump into the walk to work.
Yes. Walk to work was designed due to high demand from members in regards to the recent quite serious incidents on the motion compensated gangways. So it was found that we needed to address this in some way, and we put down a working group with very experienced people and captains that was involved in walk to work, both from members and from training providers. And we made an analysis on what actually needed to go into that. As with many other standards, the people wanted that to be a longer lesson than we actually had time for, but we found out that this didn't need to be addressed in a practical way because it was more of an awareness and a behavioral thing with the injuries on the walk to work. So that meant that we decided, or the work group decided, that it needed to be a theoretical lesson. So walk to work has been made as a 30-minute theoretical lessons that will cover awareness in terms of the structure and the movement on motion compensated gangways, the alarms and signals, when to do what and when, the risk awareness and the safe approach and the crossings, and of course it's called posture and communication in regards to that, and some aspects of human factors in terms of this topic as well. So all in all, this goes into a 30 minutes theoretical lesson that will cover behavioral and awareness on motion compensated gangways. At the moment, we are waiting on whether there's going to be assessed in the overall sea survival module. We are waiting the SAT project, and whether it's, I know the slide says SPA, it's called SAT project right now, but if that will be the case, it will be a few additional theoretical questions that will go into the testing. So I think that's will cover overall the new addition to Walk to Work, and we can also invite questions for that if needed.
Yeah, while we're waiting for those, Brian, just a question. Did you guys ever consider making the training as a practical training? And then if you did, did you discuss how much it would cost for the training providers to buy just for fun a Walk to Work gangway?
A lot of analysis and a lot of thought went into this exactly. One is the cost that you mentioned, that will make it very impractical for many training providers. It's quite expensive. We looked at some VR solutions. I think that I've seen some systems that utilize VR, but that is also quite an expense for training as well. We looked at many solutions on the practical part, and one of the reasons were actually the timing for that, because when you start to practice stuff, and all of you also know, it takes up a lot of time. We didn't have that time allocated to it, but mainly it was the incidents and the incident analysis work that made it into a theoretical lesson, because we found out during the analysis that the reason for the incident could probably be considered to be awareness questions, or people being unaware of how the system actually works and the alarms and signals and stuff like that. I think that will be the short answer.
Yeah,
it was considered. It was considered and discussed in high manners.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. Can I move on, or is there anything in the box?
Sure. No questions.
Okay. You said all this.
Yes, this exactly the same.
So here comes the hot banana, the advanced rescue training.
Yes, a lot of things went into advanced rescue training. We're so fortunate that we have a lot of experienced members, and experienced training providers as part of this work. If you could just jump back, I just want to use 1 minute, Thomas, and one more. I just want to put exactly. I just want to mention a few things here. Just use 1 minute. That we have actually in GW made a new initiative to make a lot of support for all of you on where you can actually find things and find questions. We have expanded a lot on the FAQs, and a new technical bulletin has been published as well. You can find help if you go to our website and press the help center. During the publications, new published technical bulletin will cover all major changes and what will happen to legacy records if that's the questions and stuff like that. Just move one forward, Thomas, please. So another thing is that we have made an overall changelog within each standard, so you can see what is the overall changes that is put in each standard. And we also put a hyperlink in that changelog that will go to the full extended changelog, so you can actually find out what has been changed from one version to another. Yes, move one, Thomas. Yeah, the new document here, that if you go to publications on GW website, you can actually find this document. It is attached to attached below all the standards. So Art will have it, and BST, and it's the same contents in it. It's just an easy way to find FAQs, and technical questions has been put into that technical bulletin. I would really encourage every one of you to familiarize yourself with the GW technical bulletin. And I also want to encourage you to look at the help center for the FAQs, because it has been updated in an extensive manner, so you can find many of questions answered within that as well. It was just a few notes on the big initiative we've done in trying to support all of you, training providers, auditors, and members as well. Thank you, Thomas.
All right.
Yes, let's go into some of the changes and the overall changes that we did to Art. First of all, we tried to make a more simple structure. The combined Art, where you would have refresher of working heights and manual handling, has been removed to the same reason that it was removed from from BST. We needed to make sure that Art is about Art, and we will make sure to have the time to practice and make Art what's it about, and not about working in height and about manual handling, because that is a prereq in order to participate in advanced rescue training. So that is the main reason why that has been removed. Also, the single rescue module has been retired, so they will in 6 months be a legacy. So one of the reasons for that is, there's many reasons. Some of them are there's not many records on a global scale going into that, but it's still in need. So it needed to be a part of Art still. So that is why we have developed a single rescue module within the Art hub and the Art nacelle. So you will find a single rescue module in both of them with 90 minutes approximately timeline to practice that. There were some questions actually sent to us in regards to the 90 minutes, and it always makes me smile a bit, because some are questioning, is 90 minutes sufficient for this training? And another question says, it's too much time for that. It's always hard to please everyone, but the 90 minutes was set with the working group in terms of that is what we think it can be done. And then, of course, it comes up to how much theoretical would you put on before and after the module. But it was set as a 90 minutes, and we think that is very doable. So the main change here is that the single rescuer now is a legacy, and the contents has been renewed, and it's put into each of the Art modules. So there will only be 4 modules you can do. There will be an Art hub, an Art nacelle, and an Art HR, which is the refresher, and the Art in Art, which is the refresher from the nacelle. So that is the new structure going on, and the single rescuer is a legacy. Each of the initial trainings are now 12 hours, where the refreshers now is only 1 day. Of course, it can be done as a combined course back to back, but the combined course doesn't exist, so it's 2 separate courses, but it can be delivered back to back if that is needed. One of the questions also that was coming in, I read this morning, is that the single rescuer, if it's an optional thing, it's not an optional thing. It needs to be taught, even though you have participants that's not part of it. That doesn't need a single rescuer. It's a 90 minutes addition to it. So it needs to be covered. It's not an optional thing, just to make sure we have said that. Yes, one of the things that there's been a lot of questions about is the technical cleanup. We have tried to look into the whole standard and making sure that legacy and historical things has gone out, and we wanted to make sure that manufacturer instructions are being upheld, and equipment are not used for what they are not approved to be used for. And some of the things we worked with the working group was that all the tension lines and zip lines and tramways has been removed due to the fact that much of the equipment actually not approved for the techniques used for that. I'm just going to throw Niclas into this, if you can support me with a few words.
Yeah, definitely. So I've also had some reaction from different training providers about this, and in the best of words, we will definitely be able to do a lot of different systems to have in the advanced rescue training, but somewhere we need to draw the line. And I mean, the skill level, what we've seen among training centers could be different. I mean, if you go to the producers and they have a training facility, then they are very into exactly their rescue device, what it's approved for and how you can use it, and things like that. If you're not, if you just take another training provider that hasn't done the specific instructor training from the providers, then there might be a gap of the knowledge. And what have happened is that rescue devices have been overloaded, so they have been damaged. And if we also compare to the rope access guidance, there is a big template of just how you do all of these different systems. There is still cross-hauling in the standard, and of course we still have to consider all the angles for the anchor points, for the slings, and so on. And if it's not like this is the Bible and we take away all the tension lines, zip lines, but sometimes it's hard to understand what is it exactly that we're meaning, what is a description of it. So that's probably a little bit of the reason why it's been changed to this.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that, Niclas. The most important things for us is that training providers and participants are safe, and the specific equipment that is used is actually approved for its usage, and not just that there is a single load that it can be provided under. It needs to be approved for that specific task that we actually do. And as Niclas says, it's a safety issue that we need to make sure that at high level, it's not in. Well, we can ensure that all training providers are at the high level where they actually know all specifics for the equipment. So that is why it's been removed. And then we are very much aware that many of the training providers have been teaching that for years and many years, and worked out quite well. We just can't endorse equipment that is not used for that specifics. Cross-hauling is still an option, and it still remains in art. And if all equipment in the future gets approved for that, we will definitely reconsider to put that in the standard again. Another thing that we looked into was the patient handling in regards to cervical collars and transfer boards. It's been updated. The new Annex 3 has been updated in terms with the good help from Rook. And one of the most important stuff is that cervical collars is not used routinely, which is supported by all the medical evidence and the best practice around. So that's been updated to reflect that. Transfer board has been updated to make sure that again the equipment is approved for its use. So you can take a transfer board that is not approved for vertical lift and start lifting it in a vertical use. So that is being updated with that. Ian, do you want to jump in with a few? You've been much involved in this.
Yeah, no, we I think we were appreciative as a work group that there's a lot of global variation. There's obviously a lot of new research that had been done, the exit trial and things like that, and we just wanted to try and make sure that there was some supporting evidence as to why, when we should and shouldn't do things. There was obviously a fatal accident inquiry report in the UK, but was highly critical of the use of transfer birds, longboards, spine boards, call them what you like, as primary rescue devices. So we had to reflect that as well to satisfy the regulators. And with the cross-hauling discussion, we chose our words carefully. We didn't say that you can't use zip line techniques, but like you said, we can't endorse something that's not safe. It's got to be within manufacturer's requirements. The angles and the loads need to be appropriate, and it needs to be risk assessed.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for that. So overall, Art has been gone through quite an extensive review. There's still work to be done, like on every standard. We'll make notes of that and see if things change, and of course we will update it along the way if things actually will change. All the language has been changed for Art as well. All terminology has been aligned. New sections has been added. New definitions has been added and been made more specific, so we actually know what we are dealing with and how things are used. I already covered it. Thomas, if you could just move one ahead. And one more, I covered this. So,
yeah.
Yes. So this is some of, just to give him a few examples of what has been put into terminology as well. The cross-hauling is has been defined. One of the other things in Art that had could be read in different ways was what is actually an evacuation and what is actually a rescue. Now that has been completely defined, so there is a difference between what is an evacuation and what is a rescue. That's something we use quite a lot of time on, right, Niclas? Just to make sure that we actually now, when we teach it, it's aligned and should be taught accordingly. Transfer boards, longboard, spineboard, whatever we call it, as Ian says, has been defined. And also, I would really encourage you to look at the Annex 3 that will cover a lot about cervical collars and transfer board as well. So please make sure to look into these additions. In terms of, there's been no change to the validity of the Art H and Art N. One of the things that probably would say is that there will be a grace period of 6 months for training providers to make sure that to align with all these changes. And as you can see here, all valid pre-existing, now we're talking about SORT, certification for the SORT will have a grace period ending on the 10th of September on 2026. Yeah, I think that's all. These things are actually just a screenshot from the technical bulletin that I talked about earlier. So I really, again, want to encourage people, if you want to look more into that or have specific questions on what will we actually do with legacy training reports, etc. All this has been addressed within the technical bulletin document. Yes, I don't want to say much about that. Just don't want to read up from this, but please, if you have questions about that, shout out or read the technical bulletin, because everything has been quite extensively explained in that. Yes, we talked about that. Yes, that's also for the technical bulletin. So I just jumped through the technical bulletin stuff because I didn't want to read through it. You can read it by yourself if you want to, but and also mainly to encourage you, if you have any questions, we will definitely be inviting for questions about Art, and we have all these skilled SMEs present, so we can probably answer some of your questions if you have any.
Actually, we also have a raised hand from Michael Graugaard. We have 2 raised hands.
Okay, well, I can't see that from here, Thomas. From I'm in the Q&A.
Okay. So, Michael Graugaard, would you? I don't know if you have a microphone. We cannot hear you. So maybe that was.
Maybe it can be. Maybe he can write it in the chat. No, that's for. I'm just trying to figure out if there's an option here.
So I see 2 questions in the Q&A.
I don't have any here.
Oh, amazing. So the first one is from an anonymous. Does the new information about tension lines cause a stop order within current art modules before September?
That's a very good question, because in the old standard you could actually teach it, and now we're saying there's a safety issue. So I think the right answer, and please Niclas jump in to this, I think that the real and sufficient answer to that would be if you have equipment that is approved for it, you can teach it within the period of the old standard. And if you don't have the equipment that is approved for it, you should not teach it. Do you agree, Niclas?
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Okay. And then we had one from Stefan de Sutter. Please, is the Skylotech Milan still okay to be used as tension line or zip line?
That's a very good question, and I really know that we have a Skylotech expert with us.
Yeah, and I will say that Stefan de Sutter should probably be able to answer this question himself, since he's working for Skylotech as well.
Oh.
So that is, if I try to understand the question, probably if they can use it as a tension line or zip line, I would say that that's probably need to come from Skylotech, what they can do with the Milan, how to do it. I mean, yes, you can use it as a tension line, you can use it as a zip line, as long as you know what you're doing and you don't go over the limits. But I'm pretty sure that Skylotech don't have the statement that you can use it. Correct me, Stefan de Sutter, if I'm wrong.
I think Szymon has something to say. I just want to say that I think that was also raised during the workshop, that found that the Milan didn't have any instructions that actually endorsed that use, and that was one of the reasons why it was also removed.
Yeah.
Szymon, you have something? No, sorry.
Yeah,
I can see that we have some answer here from Stefan de Sutter. Yeah, he said it's true, but it's a bit unclear to me as well. Okay, thanks for clarification.
That's
cool. Yeah.
Szymon?
I agree, guys. I think there's a difference between teaching students some technique, and there's a difference between improvising some technique. If they improvise in a real life scenario, okay, if they assess the risk properly, but we shouldn't be teaching them something which is basically not included in a user's manual for a given rescue device. And when I spoke to Skylotech, they also couldn't give me a clear answer whether yes or no, but it's definitely not approved for this kind of use. So I wouldn't teach them how to do a zip line on a Milan device personally.
Thanks for that, Szymon. I think that's a very wise answer, and also covers the questions quite well. Thank you. And I quite agree with you, Szymon, that there's a difference on teaching students and what's done in an emergency procedure, improvising. That need definitely is a big difference. Thank you. Thomas, do you have anything else?
Just cheer from Michael Gargaard to say that there wasn't actually any question, but I guess you just wanted to keep us on our toes, and thank you for that. All good. Yeah.
All good.
So I don't have more questions on the list.
Okay. Yes. And from the panel, any last things you want to share in the work you've been involved with? Niclas?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, last meeting we had, it's very interesting. I mean, we have done the changes, and it's our intention is to make it clearer, to make it easier to read, easier to understand the standard, and also that the exercises or the methods should work in the real life, that it should be implemented into there. Then it's always interesting when there is changes to standards, how they will apply out in the training center. So feedback on what's working and what's not working. That would be really interesting, I would say, to see how it is, because you just have to change some things in your normal training and then try to adapt all the changes into it to see how the changes has been. That's our goal, and it's not easy to please everyone. Like you said with the question you had, that some think 90 minutes is too less, some think it's too much. We need to land somewhere in the standards. And for me,
I agree, and no matter what, I think that we did the standard better, and it's more clear, it's more simple, and it's lesser up to interpretation in terms that we made a lot of it more specific. I think that is a very good thing for the standard. So I completely agree with that. Alexandra, Szymon, Ian, you have something you want to add to the workshop you worked on?
Well, what I really liked is not only is the standard a little bit more clearer now, it's the focus simply has shifted from the instructor back onto the participants now, and it really puts the responsibility of learning something, obtaining new skills, or just being better at the stuff that you already know, puts it back onto the participant. And I think that's a major improvement in the entire standards.
Definitely, I agree. Very, very good point. Thank you, Alexandra.
And I think in all of the work groups, some of the changes are reflected by the fact there's a fundamental shift in the way that we should be delivering our standards, the whole instructor qualification program methodology, that maybe as training centres, our instructors, we need to understand that to deliver knowledge outcomes, you don't have to be in the classroom, you don't have to be stood in front of a PowerPoint presentation, you can step a flip chart or a whiteboard or whatever you want if you need to do it that way, actually in the practical training area, and just deliver the whole both the knowledge, the skills and the abilities in a much more holistic way, and that's a much better learning experience. And when that's coupled with a whole feedback loop, that's how our participants really learn.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Cool.
Yeah, agree.
Thank you. I was just thinking also, if any of you guys out there, you wonder why are these people, Ian, Alexandra, and Szymon and Niclas, in this panel? It's because they were so brave to join a work group. And if you guys would like to join work groups, please do not hold anything back. We will advertise when we need support for new work groups. And if you join a work group, doesn't mean you have to do the panel. You can also just sit behind. But we need all your help when we develop these different standards and projects. So please bear notice when we send out the call for help that please respond to it if you have the time and the knowledge.
Yeah, please. I totally agree, Thomas. Thank you. It's so important that we have subject matter experts when we are developing standards, because we really want to align with the best practice that is going on in the industry. We want the best evidence to support it, the data to support it, and that's what we want to work from. So we really need that support. And I also want to send out a big shout out to Alexandra, Szymon, Niclas, Ian for supporting the working groups and for the very fantastic results that we gathered for all the standards. It's been quite a work going back, forth, and meeting. We really appreciate the support we can get.
Totally. Thank you. And with these nice words, we will end this webinar in time. That's not normal, but we are in time. All you guys have a nice week ahead of you. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.